Your business is a vehicle. You are the driver. The moment you forget the difference between those two things, you lose the ability to steer that vehicle. And the problem with not steering a vehicle is not just that the car gets or the vehicle gets into an accident. It's that you get hurt in that accident yourself. You start a business, you've worked incredibly hard, to build it. You pour your heart and your soul into this business. You've made so many sacrifices, and you show up when nobody else does. You're the first person to open the door of the business. You're the last person to leave at night. And then all of a sudden, those things stop. The business starts struggling. Revenue starts to dip. A deal that you've been chasing for so long, you've poured yourself into it, comes to nothing. They do not feel like the business is failing. They feel like they are failing. You feel like you are failing because the business is you. A number of the successful founders that I know, the ones who have been able to navigate crises, very successfully without crumbling, they almost always have some kind of daily practice that has nothing to do with their business. For some, it's prayer. For some, it's meditation. That they do every day. For some, it's exercising, yoga. Those things help you to move away from the realm of the business and helps you to realize that there's something else about your life that is not the business. Let me ask you something personal. If your business should shut down today, everything goes to zero. Your clients stop calling, the marketing ends, everything you built just crumbles and comes to nothing. Who would you be? Now, I don't want you to rush past that question, because the honest, uncomfortable answer to that question might be the most important thing you're going to do as an entrepreneur. Today, we're going to be talking about something that nobody tells you when you start your business, something that I've seen destroy many founders, inside out. And it has nothing to do with funding or marketing or product market fit. It is this: the dangerous, costly, and unsurprisingly common mistake of becoming your business. Welcome to the Diary of an African Entrepreneur, the show where we get into the real conversations, no fluff. We want to get under the hood and discuss practical ways to grow and scale your business. My name is Deji Adebusoye, and today we're going to be starting with this subject of detaching your identity from your business. And the reason why I'm starting here is because every other thing that we're going to talk about, no matter what they are, whether it's on money or sales or marketing or growth or strategy, if they are built on a faulty or a broken foundation, then it has no value, because everything is going to come crumbling down eventually. Now, here's what happens. I'm going to paint a scenario for you. You start a business. You've worked incredibly hard, to build it. You pour your heart and your soul into this business, your savings, your relationship, every single waking hour of the day, you are sparing it, pouring yourself into that business. You've made so many sacrifices, and you show up when nobody else does. You're the first person to open the door of the business. You're the last person to leave at night. And slowly, very quietly, something starts to shift within you. The business stops being something that you do, and it starts becoming something that you are. Now, the problem with this is that the business is winning. You feel great. You are confident. You are energetic. You are happy. You wake up every morning feeling quite excited. Sales are growing. The phone is ringing endlessly. You are hiring people. And it just looks like everything seems to be, everything you have dreamt of. And then all of a sudden, those things stop. The business starts struggling. A client leaves, the second one does, the third one leaves, revenue starts to dip. A deal that you've been chasing for so long, you've poured yourself into it, comes to nothing. At this point, many entrepreneurs, because of that time you've poured into it, they do not feel like the business is failing. They feel like they are failing. You feel like you are failing at this point. And that's the trap that I want to talk about. Once you are in that trap, almost every decision you make starts getting distorted. You start to avoid making hard decisions because every bad outcome from the decisions you make begins to look like a personal verdict on you. You take client complaints very seriously and you take it personally. Seriously is good, but you begin to take the client complaint personally as if those criticisms on your products or on your service, it's being directed at you. And that's why you see a lot of people get very defensive, because they begin to feel the personal weight of everything that is thrown at the business. You can't delegate. Why? Because handing anything over to anybody to do for you makes you feel like you are no longer in control of yourself, because the business is you. So if you should delegate that to somebody else, it is more or less like you saying that I cannot handle this myself. I don't know whether this sounds familiar to you, if it actually resonates with the way you feel about your business. I've seen this pattern in too many places than I can count, and I can understand also because in the environment where we are building businesses in Africa in this context, it's become sometimes quite difficult to separate yourself from the business, and so that becomes extremely important. I want to play this story. It's an hypothetical story, one that I hope many of you would be able to resonate with. And I'll call the person Tammy for lack of, a different name. And this story probably will be familiar to some people who have gone through this. So Tammy started a fashion business, a fashion label in Lagos. The business starts growing. She got press coverage. People are calling her WhatsApp, Instagram. She's getting customers left from back and center. She's even featured in magazines, and her brand becomes, a big part of her entire identity. She even changed, how she introduced herself. She stopped saying that I run a fashion business. Rather, she would say something, I'm Tammy by design, So it really became about her. Then all of a sudden, COVID hits. The sales stopped coming in. Why? Because people are sitting at home. They don't need a new fashion statement to make. And then inventory starts building up. She has already ordered months of inventory because of the surging demand. And now she's sitting on inventory that she cannot turn into cash, and she has produced already for the season, and all these things are moving very quickly past her. Tammy didn't just face a business problem at this point. She actually has faced a total identity crisis. Why? Because it is Tammy by design. It is her. If the business is failing and crumbling, Tammy is the one that is crumbling. It is no longer a financial loss. That is not even what matters at this point. It is because for her, everything she has poured into that business begins to fade away. And this is no longer a physical problem. It becomes psychological when you start dealing with this kind of collapse, not knowing how it happened, where it's coming from, and how you're going to take it, away from where it is today. Let's even go to a more global scene, right? So that you see that this issue is not just an African problem. It's a human problem to become attached to your business. A good example I'm going to give is Steve Jobs and Apple. When Steve Jobs, by the way, Steve Jobs, many of us know, is probably one of the most celebrated entrepreneurs in history. He built Apple into what most of us knew Apple has. When most of us started knowing what Apple is as a business, Steve Jobs was the one that powered that business. But his story is not just one of, while it's often told as an heroic comeback, if we look at it through a different lens, we'll probably see a different perspective about what Steve Jobs went through in that business. He was forced out of Apple in 1985, and that's a company that he had co-founded, right? He was forced out of the company he co-founded, and this is something he had poured his identity into. There was a time he even famously said that he felt like he had been punched in the stomach when they let him go and he was let out of the company. He completely lost the plot. For a while, he was, by his own account, devastated. This was not because he had lost money, but this was more because what collapsed was his identity along with him, and he has poured that identity into Apple. But what saved him was that eventually he separated himself completely from the company. He went on to found, Pixar. Many of us know Pixar if you watch cartoons like myself. He went on to find Next. And these are companies he treated a bit differently. He separated his identity from those companies. He developed as a leader that we know him to be today, with all his shortcomings. I mean, who does not? He has his shortcomings. But he developed into a leader that built a business whose market cap right now is in the trillions of dollars. Now, he came back to Apple. But when he came back to Apple, it was a bit different. When he came back, it was a better version of himself, because he had learned that to operate as a person who builds companies has to be the mindset that he carries along with him, not as the person who is the company. He operated as the person who built the company and not as the company himself. The irony is this, that the second version of Apple, the one that gave us the whole iMac, iPhone, iPod, and all the I's, was built by Steve Jobs, who had learned to detach. Here's an insight I want you to take from this. Your business is a vehicle. You are the driver. The moment you forget the difference between those two things, you lose the ability to steer that vehicle. And the problem with not steering a vehicle is not just that the car gets or the vehicle gets into an accident. It's that you get hurt in that accident yourself. And that is what we're trying to avoid. One of the things I want to do today, because I want this podcast to be a bit more actionable for the people who listen to them, is to list a framework that I believe would be helpful to you as an individual, as an entrepreneur, to help you separate yourself from your business. And it's called the B.I.N.G framework, B.I.N.G. These are 5 anchors that I believe will help you to become a more healthy founder, and help you have a better identity with regards to your business. The first thing is boundaries. This is not about work-life balance. This is about cognitive boundaries. The business has its own bank account. I've said this in previous videos before. For example, the business is separate from you. You have your account. You're even paying yourself a salary. The business has its own bank account. Give your business a name that, if possible, is even different from your own name. Give it a personality that is very distinct from yours. Write a mission statement that is bigger than you. Something that that you probably might not be able to achieve, but your company is what is going to achieve that. So the mission statement you're writing is something that is much bigger than you. And you put that mission statement out there as well. These aren't just branding exercises that you're doing, just trying to make your company look better. They are more psychological battles that you're trying to win. They are psychological tools that you're putting in place to help yourself, to train yourself. They will help your brain understand that this is something I built and this is not me. So that's the first part of that framework, boundaries. Create those cognitive boundaries between yourself and your company. The second thing is evidence of self. You have to be seen in your own self. What do I mean by that? Literally, you want to write down who you are outside of the business. I believe you're something outside of the business. You're a parent, or you're a reader, or you're someone who can hold a conversation about football, about history. You love cooking, something different about yourself, something about yourself that is separate from the business. Might be food you like, music you enjoy listening to. You need to literally write those things down. You have a spiritual practice, something that is different from the business that you run. You have friendships, right? People that you meet up with for drinks, to go watch a movie together. These are people that you call your friends. You have an identity outside of the business. You write those things down. These things that they are not distractions to you. They are your anchors. They are the things that will keep you grounded, because you always remember, even when you have a terrible month, and it will happen, you will have terrible months. When you have those terrible periods, these anchors are the things that will stop you from drowning. So this is what I call the evidence of self, something that shows you that you exist outside of a business. That's the second part of the framework. The third one is you need to do an identity audit. So every quarter, you want to sit down and ask yourself, what have I been celebrating recently? If you look at the last quarter and you ask yourself, what have you celebrated? If everything you have been celebrating in the last quarter has only been about your business, then there's a question mark. There's something you have to do differently, in that regards. What other thing have you done in the month? You read 2 books. You read 1 book, right? You want to note that down. That is something that you achieved outside of your business. You exercise consistently. You were going to the gym 2 days a week, 3 days a week. That is something you achieved, outside of yourself. You want to look at, maybe you even had a meaningful conversation like I did some days ago with my daughter. Did you have a meaningful conversation with your child? And that is outside of the business. You want to know that. And the reason why this identity is good is because you begin to realize that, okay, this quarter the business didn't do too well, but funny enough, I had this conversation with my son, and that conversation led to certain realities for him that helped to change his mindset. And you recall that the feeling you had at that point was one of excitement, right? That all of a sudden shows you that even though my business might have had a bad month, personally, it's not been bad because I've had these experiences. So you want to know those things now, and it makes you feel independent. These successes were achieved independent of your P&L and the performance of the business. That's the I. The N, you want a narrative separation. So I want you to pay close attention to the language you use, and that's the narrative part of your business. Things like, I am my business. That is a dangerous sentence. You are not your business. I would rather you say, I built this business, not I am my business. You are not your business. You built it. It's an output of who you are, of what you did, right? And the difference might look very, very small, but it's quite enormous from a psychological, point of view. So you don't want to always make statements that make you feel like you are tied completely to your business. So you want to say things like, I built this, I started this, I'm working on this, not I am this business, right? That's a narrative separation you want to make. So the language is very powerful. The last part of the framework I'm going to be talking about are grounding rituals that you want to start doing. So most of the founders, a number of the successful founders that I know, the ones who have been able to navigate crises, very successfully without crumbling, they almost always have some kind of daily practice that has nothing to do with their business. Absolutely nothing to do with their business. For some, it's prayer. For some, it's prayer. For some, it's meditation. That they do every day. For some, it's exercising, yoga. Some do some go journaling. Some cook. For example, yesterday when I finished work, I had a series of meetings, like 8 different meetings, during the course of the day. And as the last meeting was ending towards the end of work hours, I was mentally fatigued. And I just told myself, it's either I go sit down on the chair and I just start scrolling through my phone, or I do something else, which I love doing, which is cooking. So I just went and I cooked, right? It didn't require any brain work. So it helped me to, to relax while I was doing something that was also productive for, the family. And so it might be something that you love doing, you love cooking. You need those rituals that you perform on a daily basis. Even if it's for like 20 minutes in a day, you want to practice those rituals. Those things help you to move away from the realm of the business and helps you to realize that there's something else about your life that is not the business. So to begin to tie this together, there are 3 exercises that I've mapped out here that I want you to go out to do. The first one is, I want you to make 3 lists. The first list is going to be something you're going to tie to who I am without my business. And I already talked about this before. So I want you to write a few things that describes you as a person that is completely separate from anything professional. Be very specific about those things. For example, you can say things like, I'm someone who makes the best jollof rice in the family. I'm somebody who I'm a terrible dancer, but I will still do it, anyway. I'm somebody who cries at documentaries. I'm somebody who cries when I'm scrolling through Facebook. I know many of you have seen those kind of comments where people will say things like, the joke's on you, I already plan to cry today. So, something that is just different about you, that is separate from the business. I want you to know those things now. The second thing I want you to do is make a list of what decisions you have made from fear. And these decisions are fears that of you failing, right? You made decisions not because the business was going to fail, but you felt that if the business should fail, it would become your personal failure. So I want you to note 2 or 3 things down, decisions that you've made, with that mindset. Then the last thing is, and this is extremely important, and I want you to think deeply about this. If your business ends tomorrow, what will you do? If your business ends tomorrow, what will you do? And this is not a pessimistic narrative or a catastrophic thought. It's just a genuine question you're asking yourself. It's called business continuity, personal business continuity planning. What skills would you still have that you can apply to, other businesses? What relationships would you still have that exist that you can reapply? What new direction, might you be able to explore outside of what you currently do? This is what I'll call resilience planning in the real face of it. And this lists are just a mirror, right? They just help you to reflect, because I think for me, the biggest output from this podcast is your ability to reflect and really identify and separate yourself. At least start that journey of separating and detaching yourself from the business that you run. Let me leave you with this. Building a business in Africa is hard. It's incredibly hard. And let's not pretend otherwise that it is not. It is hard. You deal with infrastructure challenges, markets that are unpredictable, policies that are changing at the whims of the government. You're dealing with all this, and you carry the weight that most entrepreneurs in other parts of the world, they will never carry. And in fact, they will never understand those weights that you carry. And when you're carrying that much, the reality is that it is very tempting to fuse yourself with whatever it is that you are building. To let that happen is to let the identity crisis happen. And if you can detach yourself in that process and not get yourself fused with the business, the reality is that you win. You win, because the business at that point is really no longer about you. I want you to think very deeply about that. You are not your business. You are the person who had the vision behind it. You are the person who had the courage to go out to build that business. You are the person who had the resilience to keep it running even when things were hard. That person has value, right? And that value has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the P&L, has absolutely nothing to do with the balance sheet, has absolutely nothing to do with how that person performs. You have how the business performs, You had the courage, you had the resilience, you had the vision that has worth, and you need to place a value on that worth. Your business needs you to survive, for you to survive it, not to be consumed by it. Thank you very much. That's the first of a series of episodes that is going to be really getting under the hoods of your business and, providing you with clear action steps on things you can do and apply in your business. The next episode after this, we're going to be looking at what we call the scarcity trap. That's the silent, very deep cultural belief that keeps people from growing their business, and it's more a mindset thing. It keeps you thinking that your business has to remain small, whereas your business can actually become big and grow bigger than you can ever imagine. So we're going to be looking at that in the next episode. If this episode gave you something to think about, please share it with one entrepreneur, share it with one family member who is building, share it with a friend, share it with someone that is going to find it valuable. I'm Deji Adebusoye. Stay building, stay grounded, and I'll see you again soon.